Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello everyone, Jonathan here. As many long-time and I guess medium-time listeners know, whenever we're unable to get a full new episode out, we do one of these Redux episodes where we revisit a previous episode, hopefully with some new context. And this one is a great one with the Hunters Against Hate convention, the second one in the books. We're looking back to when we interviewed Paul Lanner right at the founding of Hunters Against Hate in January 2021, talk about why it got started, why it's important, and what work they're doing. It's a great interview, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, for those who are curious about why we're unable to get an episode up, the reason is twofold. First and foremost, we got COVID. That's right, Crystal and I are both COVID positive right now. Luckily, symptoms are mild. We think we got it at the con for Hunters Against Hate 2, the event, but we really don't know. Honestly, the timing of it all is a little bit weird, so honestly, I don't know. But anyways, we're COVID positive. Symptoms are mild. We're in no danger. We're already coming out the other side. But that's put us in a mental headspace where doing show notes and doing all that work has been impossible. And the second reason is my day job ran a little bit over, partly because of the aforementioned COVID exposure. I was supposed to testify in a trial mid last week. That ended up getting pushed back to today. I literally just got off testimony via Zoom about an hour ago. So yeah, there's been no opportunity for us to pull together an episode. So please enjoy this episode as we do a revisit of episode 268, Hunters Against Hate with Paul Lanner. See you all next week.
Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and haunted entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a hauntcast. No, a podcast. I told you I mispronounced everything right before we went live. Anyways, we are having it's been a month of interviews, and we've had some really, really great people on, continuing the tradition of bringing on people that are smarter than us and more knowledgeable than us. And there's a lot of them out there, but we have one of the best this week. Mm-hmm. I'm really, really happy. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time as we're sitting down with Paul Lanner from Hunters Against Hate. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I guess the first question is, tell us the story behind and about what Hunters Against Hate is for anyone that does not know.
Well, the genesis of Hunters Against Hate was formed, almost 5 years now.
2020 took 10 years, so it was 15 years ago. 2020 shifted time around.
Yeah, really. You're right. It was right after the Orlando Pulse massacre. Mm-hmm. And a review team out of Ohio said some really unpleasant, very homophobic things online. And that sparked an outrage from some haunts in Louisville, Kentucky that did not want these reviewers to come to their haunts anymore. So what happened is they reached out to me because I was doing advertising for a bunch of haunts and asked if I could come up with a name, with a logo, a design. And I did. And they wrote an open letter on Facebook to this group and expressed that they were no longer welcome at these haunts. And I think at the time there was 22 haunts that signed on to the letter. And the haunts were just going to let it go with that and say, it's over, it's done with, we said what we want to. And I thought about it and I said, you know what? No, I don't want to let this go. I want to take something that's so unpleasant, so filled with hate, and start turning it into something good and make something positive out of it. So I took Hunters Against Hate and I started making T-shirts. I started designing pins. I started doing patches. I created a website. I trademarked the logo, and I started going out there and selling these products to people and haunts and haunters with the intention of raising funds that I could donate to LGBTQ organizations across the U.S., especially focusing on youth. So that's the genesis of Haunters Against Hate and what it evolved, or how it's evolved so far. I mean, I haven't even spoken about the series of books of haunters that I've done.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is almost like an outlet for haunters who have submitted their photos. And I've gotten photos from Australia, from Germany, from the UK. And it's really interesting getting the stories from these haunters about why they became haunters, what haunting means to them. So in essence, Haunters Against Hate has given a lot of haunt actors a voice, which I think is very important.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more, because, I mean, there's a lot of, people who will try to silence groups, and it's not, it's nice to have a space that we can talk and be recognized. So I appreciate you for doing that.
A lot of these haunt actors, especially in the LGBTQ spectrum, look as their haunt and their haunt family as their family, especially ones that have been kicked out by their, actual families. So they have nowhere to go, and they find that these group of actors that they work with have become their extended family. So they must have a voice and they must be recognized. So I think that's very important. I've gotten some very, very touching emails through the years from some haunters saying that I've helped some of them come out. One I got that said they were getting ready to kill themselves. And because of the Book of Haunters, they were able to say, you know what, I'm not alone in this and I'm going to be okay. And that is the reason for Haunters Against Hate. If I can help one person, I've accomplished the goal.
Yeah. So. It's definitely a very important subject, and it's cliche to say that we're a divided nation right now.
Yeah.
That's beyond cliche. And I think the haunt community is large enough that we're kind of a microcosm of that division a lot of times. And that unfortunately does mean there are hateful individuals in the haunt community. And there needs to be a way, to speak out against that. And that's one of the things Haunters Against Hate really does provide.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I try to reach out, these people have reached out to me to tell me what's going on. And the key thing is education and making these haunt owners aware of the situation. A lot have come around. A lot are accepting, but you're going to get that group that are resistant. So the thing is, recognize, stop saying hateful words, stop dead naming your trans allies and your trans haunt actors. That is the worst thing you could do. Use proper pronouns when addressing people. Key things like that will go a long way ultimately.
Right.
I've seen it happen to me at a convention, at one of the major conventions. I've seen owners come up to my booth and look at the booth and scoff at it and walk away. Some people you're not going to be able to get through to, no matter what you do. But I try and do it with compassion, with understanding, and not, hatred against hatred, because that's senseless. It's like, let's talk about what is the issue and why you're so offended by it, and how can I help you overcome it, and realize that we're all in this together ultimately. So that's all. I just keep doing that. That's all I can try and keep on doing. And I'm hoping with the books, because some of the haunt owners have purchased books that their actors are in, maybe by reading the books too, they'll understand more and say, you know what, I need to learn.
Yeah. And that's a really good thing. And I hope that you're changing hearts and minds that were otherwise closed.
Yes, I hope so. And I want to really think positively and think I have accomplished that with, I'm not saying with the whole community. I not going to be that egotistical to think that.
Well, as you pointed out, not everybody can change,
Right.
or they're not able to change right now. They may be able to in the future.
Right. But one person at a time. I mean, every journey starts with that first step.
Yeah.
So what's something that haunts can do to make it known that they are an inclusive haunt? What are some things that they can do?
The key thing right now is, when Haunters Against Hate first started, I had 22 haunts, and I now have over 150 haunts that have become members of Haunters Against Hate.
Mm-hmm.
So the key thing is, these people, these haunts can say, we're part of Haunters Against Hate. We understand. We are inclusive. Please come join with us. And I think that's important. And here, one great example is a haunt in Indianapolis, a haunt I worked at as a haunter, and did advertising for. When I first went to this haunt, I went as a guest, just a customer. And I went with two of my friends, and we walked through, and we got to the end, and this guy pulls up in a golf cart and says, "We'd love for you guys to go through again, VIP." And I was like, "Well, that's awfully nice. Thank you." And we did. And it was a lot of fun. We thanked him, and we drove on merry way home. And while I was in the car, I don't have the best of hearing. And one of my friends said, "Did you hear that one haunt actor call us fags?" And I was like, "No, I missed that." And he's like, "Well, when we went through the second time, that actor was not there."
Wow.
So that guy in the golf cart, which I found out later on was one of the haunt owners, and I guess another actor told him, and that actor was fired immediately.
Correct response. That's
Yeah.
good on that haunt.
Because of that, I ended up working with that haunt and doing all their advertising and design because they were so supportive. And so, that's what it's about.
Yeah. And it was immediate.
Yeah.
Yes, immediate.
It is really hard to fire an actor in the middle of the night. It's always a difficult thing to do.
Right.
We've had to do it once or twice, but it's always very difficult.
Yeah.
I could not tolerate it.
Yeah.
And in the years that I've worked at that haunt, I don't anymore. I've seen they don't tolerate any of that at all. And that's an inclusive haunt. All are welcome. It's like, do your job. If you're professional and, no matter where you fall on the spectrum, just be professional.
Yeah.
Have fun. Don't be rude. Don't be condescending. Don't be insulting. That's not what it's about.
Yeah. Haunts are supposed to be fun. This is fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what people keep telling me. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't have fun if you feel like, there's hatred like genuine hatred against you.
Right.
Because, we go to haunts for a safe fear, and that converts the safe fear into a very unsafe fear.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And think about it. When you think about it, aren't haunts basically theater?
Yeah.
And you have makeup artists, you have actors, you have set decorators, designers. And I mean, there's a lot of LGBTQ people involved in the arts. So keep that in mind. It's very important.
Yeah.
Watch what you're saying.
One of the things I've heard, and I've actually said before, is that the haunt community has a history. If you go back to the JC era, you go back to the 70s and 80s, of being one of the few places at that time LGBTQ people could be relatively safe and integrated, but that was relative to a very hostile outside world. It was a very relative thing. And I think, we have a history of being this safe space, but that doesn't mean we've kept up with the times as an industry. Mm-hmm. What counted as inclusion 50 years ago does not today. And we need to be aware of that.
Well, and I think stated in the recent climate over the past several years, people have been given a free rein to be bullies more now.
Yeah.
And that needs to be reined in, and it's not acceptable. I don't care who you are. Bullying is not acceptable. And I mean, even Don't Be a Monster, like, who I admire greatly, very strong against bullying, and I'm with the 100%. It's just not acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's an incredible thing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just I'm not doing it for any fame, for fortune, nothing. I just want people to feel comfortable. I want people to just accept people for who they are, and ultimately to be able to give back to LGBTQ youth across the U.S. because they need it the most, and that's the satisfaction.
And looking at your website, you have donated to a lot of LGBTQ groups.
Yeah.
All over the country, I think you're tri-coastal with your donations even. I think
I've donated from California, Oregon, all the way to the East Coast in Virginia, and all places in between. People will tell me about a place. The most recent one is called Dreams of Hope, which is an LGBTQ organization that specializes in theater arts for youth and LGBTQ youth. That's based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I chose that because...
No. I just lost the thing. Shit.
It is the star of George Romero's Day of the Dead. And she's from Pittsburgh. So I wanted to show the support to the Pittsburgh group.
Yeah. Like I said, the list is impressive. It's a who's who of these United States.
You guys have vanished.
No, we're back now. We should be back now.
I hope we're back.
Are we back now? Hello? We should be back now. We had a brief thing there, but we should be back. Hang on, I'm going to try refreshing. Okay. And okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. That was on me. That was 100% my screw up because my touchpad is hypersensitive and it read me moving it as a swipe and it went back when I did not want it to.
Yes. So stop touching your computers. The thing there, right?
But I have to switch between. Okay. I have other things I have to manage. Is the problem?
I know.
But anyway, sorry about that, Paul. We are here. We're back. We're fine. Hang on.
Yep.
Did you hear what I was saying about Pittsburgh?
We could hear you fine.
Okay.
We heard you fine. You came in loud and clear the whole time. So yeah, Pittsburgh, all over the country, amazing stuff, and the charity, like you said, to describe the theater arts charity in Pittsburgh.
Yes. And the other nice thing about Hunters Against Hate is, it gives me an outlet as well for my regular job. This is not my regular job. This is what I do on the side. This is my passion. So it's about giving back ultimately.
Yeah.
Right. And all of the list of the haunts that are included and the charities that you've donated to are on huntersagainsthate.com. I don't think we've said the .com yet, so putting that in there.
I was just updating the website a little today, so.
Yeah. Huntersagainsthate.com. It's .net. No, I'm not doing the Homestar Runner.
Page, Hunters Against Hate as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, we could talk, if you want, about what I'm researching now.
Okay.
Come to its fruition, we will see.
Well, one thing I wanted to run by you. This was something that came up in last week's podcast. We had my friend Patrick O'Keefe on, who is a community admin expert. He literally has written 2 books on the subject, so I think he might know a thing or two about it. But one of the things we asked him the question, how do we build more diverse and inclusive haunt communities? One of the things he said was it's important to seed the community properly. If you start out with a core group that's diverse and has the type of people you want, you're going to naturally attract more people like that. Mm-hmm. If you have all straight white men in your core group, you're going to get straight white men coming in as actors and as outsiders. Is that something you agree with?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. The more diverse your organization or the people who create the haunt are, the more diverse your group is going to be. Unless, say, it's cis white men who started the haunt, but they are extremely liberal and very open and welcoming, then it's fine. But, it tends, like attracts like, usually.
Yeah. And this goes back to the representation and why it matters so much.
Mhm.
because it's important for the people to see themselves in other media, including haunting. And also, it's important for others to be exposed to people not like them.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is, say for example that you hire an LGBT haunter and they love it and they think it's fantastic. They're going to go out and tell their friends, maybe you want to be a part of this, and you could bring more people in that way. And, tell their friends, come visit the haunt, and that it expands and it grows exponentially that way. If they go back and say, I've been so mentally abused at this place, it's going to get out, and eventually it's going to worm its way back, and negative publicity, and it's not good. It's just not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to want to be open and have everybody feel comfortable in participating in what you're doing, both customers and actors and staff alike,
Right.
than it is to exclude anyone.
Agreed.
Right. In fact, some of the haunts that I'm nearby in Kentucky and Indiana and stuff, they have me, and they have Haunters Against Hate, special Haunters Against Hate nights that are marketed and advertised for the LGBT community. And on that night, they give back a portion of their proceeds to Haunters Against Hate, which is then donated, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great way of them showing their support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, those outward shows of support, they are at least a strong indication.
Yes, right. Absolutely. And what I'm trying to do now, Haunters Against Hate, now that it's an official nonprofit corporation as of last year, finally, I'm starting to explore, like, now possibly in time finding volunteers, say, on the West Coast and stuff like that, to see I could have representatives that I can't necessarily, like, if a haunt in San Diego wants to have a Haunters Against Hate night, I can't just be there like that, but maybe I could have a representative that could go and be there for that haunt and keep expanding it that way, which would be fantastic.
Yeah.
That would be.
That's
very interesting.
It's an interesting idea. It's a good idea too. I think it's a great one.
Yeah.
Yes. It's even though I work at home, I still, like I said, I still have a regular job. I just can't be like bouncing around everywhere. It's impossible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we work at home. I work at home for the last year, but Jonathan and Ellie. Yeah. But Jonathan and Ellie have worked at home for years.
Yeah, I've worked from home, I think 10 years now, and it's such a weird thing. I still am not used to it.
Well, and I have a dog. I can't just pick up and leave my dog.
Exactly.
No, can't do that.
Okay, what kind of dog? Because now you've brought it up.
Dachshund Corgi mix named Gomez.
Oh, it sounds adorable.
And the name is perfect. The name is perfect.
I used to have a Saint Bernard, but she died a couple of years ago. So the big and the little of it, as I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you teased a little bit an idea that you have that you're looking at starting something. Why don't we go into that?
Well, I'm starting to do a little research right now and laying the groundwork down for a potential HAH Con, or Haunters Against Hate convention. And in a way, I want to do this to make it more like a fundraiser as opposed to, a convention combined with a fundraiser.
Right.
And merge where it would be basically a horror convention that would also have haunts, but would also be merged with an LGBT festival type, where I would have the organizations that I've donated to be there to have haunt booths and stuff like that, and offer seminars about being inclusive in the industry and stuff like that. I think it would be really enlightening, and it could be a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm just laying it groundwork down, but I've received a lot of support about it because it's something different. It would be this horror, haunts, LGBTQ, and like this mishmash in a way of all of it.
No.
So it could be a lot of fun. But of course, the key things with conventions and stuff is, laying the groundwork down, getting the funding and all that stuff that goes with it, because I'm a nonprofit. So I can't just say, oh yeah, I have this. I can just pull it right out and here's your how much that you need.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And of course, COVID doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I really think that that it sounds like it would be building a better community, a better haunt community, and
yes, and all the profits from this convention fundraiser would go to these LGBTQ youth organizations. So I think that would be fantastic. That's a great way to raise a lot of money, as opposed to selling one T-shirt at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I'm exploring with this, and I would like to do if it comes to its fruition, is I want to be able to give out a Haunters Against Hate Haunt Actor of the Year award to an actor that has shown, stepped up to the plate and really fought hate and, stepped up to people being negative and being bullies and stuff like that. And I think that would be a great incentive to people to be even more accommodating to LGBTQ people and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean,
yeah,
and I agree. It's tough to fundraise when you're, like you said, one T-shirt and one book at a time, and also, like you said, various haunts have H. I found a way to mispronounce 3 letters. I think that's a new low, even for me. HAH nights.
yeah,
things like that are great, but I agree having some kind of centralized, like a linchpin for the fundraising is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. And
I don't even know if it would have to be something that's done annually. I mean, I'm not adverse to that if it comes to its fruition, but make it an event, even if it's once every 2 years, once every 3, but an event.
Yeah, and I like the idea of having an award or an award ceremony even. Because every haunt has, the costume ball, and everybody loves to get dressed up in costumes. I'm not saying that we don't, but it would be nice to have it a little more formal,
Right.
Even like a costume prom instead of a ball.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, how many carries will we have, though, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think we could be a little more creative than Carrie.
But yeah, I think that would be very important.
I agree.
Maybe do now that it's been 5 years. Well, I was thinking I've had in the 6 books now that I've done, 2 of the books had introductions written by actors that were more than happy to be supportive of Haunters Against Hate. And I would really like to reward them with something as well, because that was really nice of them to do that. They didn't have to. And they took time out of their busy schedules to do this for me. So it's something I will never forget, and it's something I'm indebted to, and I'm always grateful for anyone who is willing to lend a hand. It's really going above and beyond. So
yeah, that's great stuff all around, and I don't know. I mean, I've always been so enamored with what Haunters Against Hate has done, and how it began from something so horrible, as you said, and has now become this force for good and positivity in the industry.
Who knew? I mean, I had no idea that it would. I mean, as of now, on Facebook, Haunters Against Hate has over 12,000 followers now, which is pretty amazing.
That is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and well-earned followers.
It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of effort, and I poured a lot of my own money into it. But I think every single penny has been worth it. Like I said, if I'm able to help one person, great. This is in my introduction, Volume 1. Here's a great story I tell, even though it's pretty sad, but it's a great story. Is the first year that I had a booth at Transworld Haunt Show. It was just, sitting there by myself. It was a Sunday morning, the last day, 10 a.m. The convention had just opened, so there was really no one there yet. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at something, and this woman in a wheelchair goes by, looks at the booth, and I watch her, and she goes by. Then she comes back, and she goes back the other way, and I'm like, okay, that's odd. And I'm sitting there, And she comes back and she's like, so she goes, I have a good friend who's 19 years old. And ever since Hunters Against Hate started, has been enamored by you guys, loves what you do. And I'm like, well, that's fantastic. She goes, unfortunately, last month, he was driving home from work, fell asleep, crashed, and he died. Mm. She goes, I am here to buy a shirt for his mother and myself as an honor to him. And she lost it. I lost it. And that moment in time is something I will never forget as long as I live. And that was the first instance of seeing how Hunters Against Hate affected someone. And it was so tragic that this poor 19-year-old lost his life.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking, but I gave her the shirts. I was like, here, just take them. I mean, this is my gift to you, and, let him live on forever in that way. So, and that was Hunters Against Hate had only existed, for 7 months at that point? Something like that, 8 months. So that was my realization that I had to continue. I could not stop. I had to keep going with this, no matter what it took and how much effort and how tired I was on certain days. I just could not stop, and I have not yet.
Yeah, so. That is a hell of a story, and you're right. It's an amazing story and a sad story at the same time.
Yeah,
but yeah. It's always. From my
you don't know what it's going to affect. You never know what your one word can do to one person, good or bad.
Exactly. And that was kind of what I was about to say was, is someone who tries to be a strong ally, and I know I have things to learn about my allyship, and I know I have growth I have to make too. But one of the things I've always noticed is, like you said, just how a word or a simple gesture can either really make someone brighten someone's day or brighten someone's week or their life, or it can literally destroy them.
Yes.
And I've seen that in backstage in the acting room in haunts where, like you said, I haven't actually witnessed dead naming per se, but I've seen racial slurs, I've seen homosexual slurs used, and I've seen the impact it has on the actors that it was directed towards, even if it was done in a joking manner. The impact it has, it's easy to read,
Yeah.
And,
no, there's some things that are not, you may be thinking you're joking, but it's really not funny.
Yeah, I'm not laughing.
Right. And you're someone, I myself, growing up, my dad was very abusive verbally to me when it came to my sexuality. And I vowed that, I'm not going to let that, I'm going to try not have that happen to people who reach out to me, and I'm going to try to be, encouraging to them and give them good words so they don't have to deal. People are going to have to deal with it with their family no matter what. You're going to have families who are very unaccepting. But if they reach out to me, and I've had young actors reach out to me, and I've started conversations, and I think I've eased their pain a bit, or let them know that, you know what, you're not alone. You're always here.
Right.
You have a family that will look out for you, even though it's not your biological family. Mm-hmm. And I think that helps them knowing that they can reach somewhere else.
Right.
Hence, I also like to donate to the LGBT organizations that focus on youth because they need those safe spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, my attitude has always been, it takes me no effort to learn someone's name.
Right.
It takes me no effort to learn their pronouns. It's like 2 seconds out of my day, but it can mean so damn much.
It does. Yes, it does. Very much so.
Yes. And, and it's also about not assuming.
Yeah.
Someone who presents as one way, that may not be how they identify, and you have to understand that.
And if they correct you, then say, "Oh, I'm very sorry. I did not know."
Right.
And change.
Exactly.
My apologies. I will do my best in the future to get it right.
Yeah.
And mistakes happen. And, but you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's expecting perfection from you.
No, nobody's perfect. No one.
Nobody's perfect.
Exactly. And I present as a straight female woman, and I'm not. I get jobs because I present that way. But, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, you never know.
And yeah.
But, so if a haunt is not a part of Haunters Against Hate, what else can they do to make it clear, especially to like customers and things, that that there's a safe place to visit?
They can reach out to Haunters Against Hate. They can email me. They can ask for literature that I can send them, or a banner or something, information they can get. Say, we'd like to be part of the website. We'd like to be on your website, and then they can promote it that way and say, look, we're a member of Haunters Against Hate now. And that's a good way for people to find out that they are inclusive.
Yeah. Well, and I've been thinking about this question for a while, since it came up in a group that's on Facebook, about how would I know going to a haunt, because we visit a lot of haunts.
Oh yeah, way too many.
And a lot of times,
this is what our wallet keeps telling us.
Yeah, a lot of times I don't know what we're walking into.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen like a rainbow flag outside of a haunt. No. I've been trying to think about it. Huh?
That's rare. I mean, I agree with you.
And I don't know why we can't put things out. If you have to like distress it so that it looks haunty, fine. It's still recognizable,
But
I had an incident happen. Was it volume 3 of my book, that an actor was in it and, listed the haunt he was with and everything. And I got an email from the haunt owner saying, I cannot allow this. You're going to have to remove the name of my haunt from your book because we can't be associated with Haunters Against Hate.
Oh, wow.
So you don't know. They're like, find what you're doing, but we are very, straight-laced and very, religious, and we can't have this. So you're going to have to remove us.
Yeah.
I've never had that happen before in any of my books. It really did. I mean, but I respected the person's wishes. I'm like, I will do what you ask, but what are you going to do? It's like, so it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
So from that, did you have to change out your submission forms so that?
Yes, from now on, because I've had other incidents happen within the last year, very unpleasant incidents, especially with one particular actor, that from now on I am starting to vet every actor that wants to be in my books. I have to.
Yeah.
Because it's one, if you want to be in my book just for the publicity, and then you turn around and are a very hateful human being, it diminishes what I'm saying. It diminishes everything. And I can't have that. And it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And the thing is, at that time, I can't research 100 actors all at once. It's impossible. So that's why, like, volume 5, which is actually LGBTQ haunters, but I didn't rush that. I took much longer to put that book out so I could do more research on each actor and get a little information, because I will not have, hypocrites in my book. I refuse.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. And like you said, that's got to be tough.
And the incident that happened with volume 3, it was not the actor. The actor was horrified by it, and felt so bad. It was the haunt owner.
I wonder if that actor found a better place for them.
Yeah, obviously they need to find a new place.
The actor left. He said, I'm done.
Yeah, so, good move.
Yep.
I mean, and that's just it. Your haunt, like you said, your haunt family is your family.
Yeah.
And you want your family to be loving and accepting of you for who you are.
Yeah. And do you have any ideas for actor managers and trainers when they're actually training, the people who work in the haunts?
See, unfortunately, I'm not as involved with, I don't own a haunt, so I can't really say. But I think just being educated, if the haunt owners want to reach out to me to ask, like, what do I need to do when I am interviewing actors or having a first meeting? What do I need to explain to my actors reach out to me. I'll explain what needs to be done. Being accepting, not using these terms. Not using the correct pronouns. Recognizing when someone's being verbally abused, even if you're not there to see it. If they come to you and say someone is calling me a very unpleasant homophobic term, you address it immediately. You don't go, oh, don't worry, it won't happen again. No, you address it right there on the spot so it doesn't happen again. And if it does happen again, you let go of that person who's doing it.
Yeah. So. And I think that part of that could be that you put policies in place and that are explained at the beginning with the training when you hire someone. This is
standard operating procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, this goes back to what Patrick was talking about of having good policies, having them written down.
Yes.
And that way, anytime something does happen, you just pull out the book, on the table. And you
no one likes doing this standing, the SOP.
Yeah.
It's essential.
It is. Yeah. And that way, even if nobody reads it, it's at least written down somewhere and you can turn to it.
And if someone comes back at you and says, well, now, you're being mean to me. It's like you could pull out your standard operating procedure and go, well, you just broke the rules. So it's not acceptable.
Yeah, this is why you get that stuff in writing. Another excellent point Patrick made was, if you want to have a good community, it starts with good community rules that are consistently enforced.
And communication.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, those two things are vital. And so I think that's one of the things I've learned most from these two episodes is haunts need to start writing this shit down.
Yeah.
Basically, they need to get it in writing, what they want their rules to be, what they want their community to be like, and so on.
And maybe even consider making employee handbooks. If you don't have one, why not?
Yeah.
Because that's another reason I'm exploring this Haunters Can Stay Con, because if I have that, I can have these seminars with haunt industry professionals or actors, and they can host these seminars and explain to people, what they need to do in these operating procedures. So it's educational too. Can't hurt.
No, it cannot hurt. I agree. I mean, that's a great idea, and that's something. And it's kind of weird because this is a lot of this is stuff bigger companies and corporate, or even some smaller business have wrestled with, and HR stuff they've dealt with for years, and various ways and skill levels and adeptness, but they've had to address them. But haunts, because of our nature, we just haven't.
Right.
We don't operate like we're a business, even when we're a business. It's a weird thing.
Exactly. I mean, technically, you are a business. You should have procedures in place. I mean, you do. For the fire marshals, everything's in place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about and what they need to follow?
Yeah,
I agree 100%. So start writing this stuff down. Start getting policies. That's one of the first things to do. And that way, like you said, if something happens, you've got a document you can refer to and point the line whatever on page whatever and say that's the rule you broke.
Yeah, and I have heard that some of the larger haunts do things like that and are more organized like a business, but it seems fewer and farther in between.
Yeah.
No, it's not standard across the industry.
I would wager if we pulled haunts, I think less than 10% would actually have this type of document on file anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, if you did have this document on file, someone who is being verbally abused, who maybe would not say anything for fear, can say something and say, this person has broken the rules and this needs to be addressed. Whereas if there's nothing there, who do they turn to? They don't know if they feel comfortable enough or safe enough.
Right, because, I mean, if you think that the owners know that this hate speech is going on, then you may think that the owners are in agreement with it when they're not.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
it's an important thing to do and have. And I think in time, maybe it will happen as people become more educated, about the whole situation. So let's hope.
Yeah, and I do think that it's important to also have a designated person to report those issues to.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So,
an ombudsman of some stripe.
Shalisa is mentioning consistently enforcing the rules is also needed.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah. You have to write it down. You have to actually follow what you write. Is the second step.
Exactly.
It doesn't work if you don't follow what you write. It does not work. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, honestly, but seeing your organization, seeing what Hunters Against Hate has done, and seeing the response from the haunt community, at least by and large, it's been warming. But it also has highlighted that we do have elements we need to address in the same breath, and it's sort of a.
But I think with Hunters Against Hate existing now, a lot of these issues are indeed being addressed.
Exactly,
which may never have been before.
Yeah,
because you have these actors willing to speak out more now and say, "Hey, I have this support group that I can turn to." So I think it's helped a lot. I really do. I think it's waking people up and saying, this is something that we've never addressed before, and we must get on board with this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people prior to the events in 2016 kind of thought the haunt community didn't really have these issues. There's no problem here, man. We're all good. And then something so bad happens, you go, "Oh, damn." We got problems.
Doesn't it always take something awful?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. It really does. And that is unfortunate, but that's, I think, partly human nature and partly just,
Maybe we're secretly optimist that everybody's good.
Well, and you really want to believe that everyone is good. But.
Yeah.
And you try to look for the good even when it's hard to find it sometimes. So
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that trying to find the good though does lead to this kind of naive optimism sometimes, and you got to get shaken away from it sometimes. And unfortunately, that means it takes something bad.
True.
Well,
and I don't know. I just try to be. The bottom line is I just want to be a good person and do good things. And I'm sure people take advantage of situations like that too sometimes, but. I can't change how I am. That's the type of person I am. I want to be able to help, So
agreed.
Yeah.
Well, real fast, we got about 5 minutes left. Or a little bit up for 5 minutes left. So, any last minute questions, Crystal?
Japes is saying happy birthday, Paul.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh. Did Japes just write him?
Huh?
You don't know the whole story behind this?
No.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh. Okay. I feel like we may have stepped in something, folks.
Japes, what did you do?
Japes? I know where you live, Japes.
2019 Midwest Haunters Convention. There, I went on the tour to Hell's Gate Haunted House.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And on the bus ride down, we had a host named Chuckles the Clown, who made everyone on the bus think that it was my birthday. So that was on a Friday. Saturday, Chuckles comes up to my booth and tells everyone around there that it's my birthday. And on Sunday, he asked, the actor came over and he said, they're doing this raffle. Would you be willing to donate some shirts and stuff? And I was like, absolutely. He goes, you can come up stage, you'll pull the ticket. And I was like, sure. He had the whole convention sing happy birthday to me. It was all a ploy.
That's a long con.
Since the past year and a half. I've been at other conventions not even related to the haunt community where people have started singing happy birthday to me. It's gone viral.
So apparently there is now Paul Lanner Day, like Rusev Day. Yeah, every day is Paul Lanner Day.
Every day. Of course, catch me on my actual birthday, crickets. But
well, I tried to look for your actual birthday before I said anything, because I'm like, he wouldn't agree to come on a podcast on his birthday, would he?
Well, apparently he did.
I literally had Chuckles, who's from Chicago, knock on my door in Kentucky with a birthday cake. With his group, because they were on their way to Tennessee. And they surprised me with a birthday cake.
On a random day.
Well,
On a random day, I'm like, what? Who? What? And there he is in full costume with the birthday cake.
Well, people love you, Paul.
You know what? It's better to have, studies show that people that have more birthdays live longer.
Oh, great. At that point, I'm like 270 now.
You just made him older.
I know, really. Thank you so much.
Oh, man.
Pretty funny. So, yeah, that's my cross to bear now.
Japes, you're a horrible human being. I just want you to know that.
I was at a convention in Texas, in Dallas, an LGBT convention. And they sang happy birthday to me. Because someone there told them there's this clown that always wishes Paul a happy birthday.
Oh, well, that was a pleasant surprise to add to this.
Oh, it was lovely. I'm like, you know what? I'm packing up and going to In-N-Out Burger. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and Jape says that we appreciate you.
Yes, the whole world appreciates. I think we all appreciate you here.
Yeah.
Real fast, one thing, we do have one minor announcement on our end.
Yes.
We have posted on our Haunt Weekly store, hauntweeklystore.com. Check it out for your masks and t-shirt needs. We have our Pride Haunt Weekly shirt, designed by Crystal. She made this one, and all profits from that are going to Haunters Against Hate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, buy the if you want to support both Haunt Weekly and Haunters Against Hate, boo, Chikiaka chance. See?
I just had another person, Witching Hour Designs, who created a Pride Badge shirt, and they're donating the part of the proceeds to Hunters Against Hate, which is really awesome.
Yes, I saw that. That was really pretty.
Yes.
Really nice, Little things like that mean the world to me. They really do. They really touch me more than people realize. It truly tickles me.
Well, it was interesting when we set up the store. We were talking about the t-shirt designs we wanted, and it was in the top tier. We had to get a Pride one.
Yeah, it was the third design I made. I made yours and then mine. Not the ones that are on the site, but alternatives that'll be coming out later.
Yeah, we got a queue,
Pride.
and I'm doing we're trickling. It takes a little while to set up the designs and get them print ready. So that's why it takes time. It just Paul knows all this. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I don't know. Do you even know what I do for a living?
You said advertising.
I do packaging design for Warner Brothers.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
That's my regular. I've been working with them for 17 years.
Wow.
So regular job. So I know all about design and packaging and deadlines and all that stuff. I get it completely. Believe me.
Yeah, I come from a print journalism and graphic design background, so
Yeah.
I've spent most of my life building websites and also printing things. Those are my two jams.
Yeah, and I've been administrative assistant / HR person / coordinator for events for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, with creating events and stuff, that I'm green on, but thankfully, one of my dearest friends here does that for a living, like these LGBT events he runs, and I'm actually co-producer of one of them. So he's helping me navigate this, which is great. And the thing too is, I'm curious to see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if I should let this out. Well, I don't care, but
no one's listening.
I'm expanding my booth for Transworld this year, and I'm planning on designing it like an 80s style leather gay bar.
Oh, wow. That'll be
We'll
fun.
see how that goes over.
So you're designing it like the Phoenix here in New Orleans.
Have the flashing neon sign,
Yep.
come up to the bar and, we want a shirt, but can we also get whipped?
Paul, when you come to New Orleans, you got to swing by the Phoenix. Just trust me.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It does. It does.
The
It sounds
booth,
like a lot of fun.
the booth idea.
The booth, yeah. And then going to the Phoenix is fun too.
Get out of it or I'll be banned for life.
Hey, if you're going out, go out with a bang. That's what I say.
No pun intended. Oh, wow. Okay, then.
You just found that button tonight, so you had to use it.
Okay.
But anyways, Paul, let the nice people know where they can find more info about Hunters Against Hate and where they can get in touch with you.
Well, the key is to go to huntersagainst.com, go to the website. You could read about the organizations I've donated to, a lot of the haunts that are part of Hunters Against Hate. There's pictures on there. There's the store where you can buy T-shirts, buy patches, buy the books. And then the last page is the contact form where you can send an email. And there's also the Facebook page, Hunters Against Hate. So those are the two main places.
And definitely follow Hunters Against Hate absolutely everywhere you can. Well, a great organization that deserves all the love the industry can throw behind it. I mean,
really kind. I appreciate that.
So yeah, Paul, it's been an absolute gem talking to you. It's been wonderful.
I really appreciate you having me on. That's really kind.
Well,
yeah, it's been a long time in the making on our end.
It's been a long time. We're bad about inviting guests. We just we get caught up in the day-to-day stuff, and future planning episodes isn't really our thing. I don't know if people notice we don't always tend to have the greatest future planning for these. So, but we're very glad we're able to get you.
I do that in my day job.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we plan all the time in our day jobs. We don't need it to tack on any additional planning.
Right.
Well, if you want to plan with us and help us plan future episodes, you can catch us at hauntweekly.com. We're Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook. YouTube.com/HauntWeekly is our YouTube channel. All previous episodes are there for easy access, including playlists and neat stuff like that. And as always, you can catch us on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get podcasts from. They haven't kicked us out yet. Then they're going to. Mm-hmm. So until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And thank you again, Paul. We will see you all next week.
Take care.